Hey Bayou Jam fans, welcome to episode 2 of Cruising with the Coaches. I'm on my way now to pick up our guest coach for today's episode, and we can't wait to give you a behind the scenes look at this guest coach, so stay tuned.
On the hot seat? On
the hot seat. All right. What was your first car or vehicle?
Oh, that would be a 4Runner, Toyota 4Runner. I think it was a 1988 model.
What color?
Black.
Oh, okay. 4Runners, you kind of like them?
Hey, we're riding in one today.
I must be a fan. We're riding in one today. Maybe we should get a sponsorship from Toyota.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, I like it. All right, if we got in your vehicle right now, what radio station is programmed and would be on?
Number one. That's 100.1 The Beat or 103.1.
Okay, how many windows do you think, just estimate, are in New York City?
Windows?
Windows.
Man, I don't know. Had to be, I'd say, 1 million.
Yeah, okay.
What is it?
I have no idea. I just thought you might know.
That's one of those useless trivia
trivia questions, but maybe we'll look it up. Maybe after this I'll look it up and then I'll post it in the comments down here. Okay, we're going to have a new event. And it's going to be like the Ringling Circus Smash event. We're going to name it something good. In one corner, you have a 12-inch gorilla. In the other corner, you have your everyday house cat. Who wins the match?
What are they fighting for?
They're just fighting each other. They're just wrestling each other.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe the house cat.
I'm going with the house cat.
He's stubborn.
Yeah, I mean, they got 9 lives, number one.
Yeah.
And then now, look, I have to admit, if that gorilla gets his hands on that house cat, it's done for.
You think so?
I think so. I mean, it's a gorilla. It's 12 inches, but it's still a gorilla, right? But I'm going to go with the house cat. They have 9 lives, and they're fast.
Yeah.
All over that ring.
Oh, yeah.
Just, how did you get involved with this? Is this talking about coaching?
Yeah, I just grew up around a ball game, whether it be baseball or football primarily. Those were the two I remember seeing the most. And just growing up, it was, you're going to sit right here and you're going to watch this ball game till it's over, and didn't run around and do all the things you see kids taking in today.
Right.
Sat there and watched, and I think I learned and just have a passion for it. Still have a passion for it today. When I entered college, I think it was somebody else's dream that I try to pursue pharmaceutical sales or pharmacy, and I didn't make good enough grades or have good enough study habits to do well there. So immediately I jumped back into something I was very familiar with and loved, and that's a passion for sports. And
Sure.
So that's what got me here today, and they're my lifestyle.
So, okay, you could go back and you could do it all over again, and you know the importance. I mean, you teach this every day. You try to instill it in your student athletes. You know the importance of grades. You know the importance of school. Would you do it again, or would you try to really focus on going a different route and doing something different?
I think this is what I'm meant to do. I think I can make a bigger impact doing what I'm doing today, and not just teaching the game of football or the X's and O's, but the relationships that you develop along the way, from community members to parents to the players to coaches, co-workers. Those are the relationships that I wouldn't trade anything for. So no, this is what I would see myself doing if I could do it all over again.
So when you first started out, tell me about where you started at. Where was your first job coaching?
Yep, my first job was at Western Road High School. I spent 12 years there. 1 as a student coach, and then 11 as an assistant coach.
Who was the head coach at the time?
Don Shiles hired me.
Okay.
And Miss Sherry May was the principal. And then I left there after the 2017 season, went to Ruston as an assistant for 3 years under head coach Jared Ball and principal Dan Gressett. And then now I just completed my 2nd year at Washita High School under Principal Charles Wright.
So what is it? What does a typical day in the head coach position look like versus what it was like the years that you spent either as an assistant or working your way into the head coach?
That's a really good question. The biggest change, the biggest difference is the amount of calls, text, emails you get daily. You spend a lot of time responding to those, and they're necessary. You can't avoid them. You don't need to avoid them. You need to answer as quickly, I guess, as you can. But that's the biggest difference. As an assistant, most of the times your day is done when you walk out of the field house, or you're done on the field. As a head coach, you're available 24/7 for your players and your parents.
So let's say you get 2,000 emails a day. How do you choose who you answer first? Do you just go off of this? This is the first one to come at me, and I answer it. I mean,
I think like I do. I have a list of priorities and needs, or things I need to accomplish first in my day. I try to do that list daily or nightly, and I try to accomplish those things in that order, and then responding to people. Try to do it in the order that I was contacted. I think most of the time that kind of takes care of itself if you do it that way. However, there's instances where you might skip somebody or whatnot.
And sure, and you have to prioritize.
Yes, ma'am.
You have to put in. You have to
doubt.
prioritize. What do you think? What skill do you possess that you really have utilized in this position as a head coach that you have really had to maybe either tweak or perfect in the past 2 years?
I think most people would call me a disciplinarian, and I'm intense in everything that we do, whether it's in the weight room or on the practice field. I think those two words describe me pretty well. You've got 100-something football players, and you've got parents that have to provide transportation for these 100-something kids, and then you've got coaches, 10 to 20 coaches under you. You've got to be well planned, or at least have a plan, and get that plan out as quick as you can. So I'm not a shoot from the hip type of guy. However, we all know there's things that you can't plan for, and then you've got to use your resources you have available and make the best decision, team and your coaches. Are you that type of leader that you lean on those resources around you heavily with a high expectation? No doubt. This is Todd Garvin. It's not Todd Garvin's team, or this isn't Todd Garvin's show. I rely on our coaches. I rely on our administration to help make decisions. And in certain instances, I rely on our player council to help make decisions. I want everybody to feel important and feel like they're a part of the decision-making process and share ownership into our success. Tell me about that. I've heard you mention that before, Players Council. What is that? What do you... Our coaching staff, we get together in staff meetings, and we try to highlight players who we want to build our team around, and trying to push those guys to the front. Excuse me. That's number 1,999. Yeah, there's another one. To try to push those guys to be the face of our football team and our program. And this year, currently, we have 4 guys. There's not a set number, or even it's not all seniors. We've got it spread out throughout the grade level. We have a few seniors, and we have a sophomore who will be a junior. But we'd like to add a guy from each class. I think being well-rounded would help different perspectives and thoughts. Right. But just asking those guys, we meet once a week, and typically on the first day of the week. And we give those guys different assignments to do, and then we follow up on those assignments to see how they do. Also, there are eyes and ears outside, the walls of the field house and the school, and certainly when there's some decisions that maybe I don't want to try to make on my own, I get those guys' input, and I certainly value their input. And you have to. If you're going to start something like that, you've got to show those guys that you're willing to listen and implement some of their thoughts. And I think it's going really, really well for our program. Yep. Any successful program, marriage, business, whatever it is, being able to communicate and trust, those are 2 big things, and that's what we ask our guys to do on a daily basis. So definitely being a head coach I know that there's a lot of fulfillment in that, but there's also got to be some challenges that you face. What do you think is the most challenging part of that position and the most fulfilling part of it? The most challenging part, and I don't believe you'll ever be able to do this anywhere you go, is trying to please most people. You're not going to make everybody happy, and I think for anybody considering going into coaching or trying to get in this profession, don't try to make everybody happy. Do what you feel is right based on your team and their needs. Do what's best for your coaching staff and your team, and nobody, you can't be wrong. The most, I guess, fulfilling is seeing your guys walk out of your program or graduate from your institution or school and be successful, and watch those guys come back and really say, thank you, coach, for everything you did. They didn't understand why you did it probably in high school, but when they move on to marriage and their everyday job, and they tell you, coach, you prepared me for life, you prepared me for this, and just saying thank you, that's the most fulfilling thing, and that's why we do what we do.
Who is that coach for you?
There's a handful of them. There's a lot of good ones out there. Mike Valerie has been a great mentor. Jeff Shake Snyder, Don Showles. Those are three at the top. John King, Jared Ball. I could go on and on, but that's the fraternity we have, the strong bond and the relationships that you need to be successful. And that's what coaching is sharing ideas and bouncing thoughts off of each other and making them fit your program.
Okay, so tell us about the family. We know, of course, Jamie is also involved with student athletes.
Who?
Who is that? Tell us about your family.
Well, beautiful wife. She's been the cheer sponsor at West Monroe. I'm probably going to get this wrong, for about 15 years or so. And she teaches the upper level math. So we've got 4 boys. They range from 3 years old all the way to 12 years old. The oldest being Alds, Rand, Noah, and Bear. Those are four boys.
So you coach them as well?
Yes, ma'am.
All of them?
Well, most of them.
Are they all athletes, or do they have other interests?
They're all involved in either flag football or baseball.
What do you think sets programs apart now?
There's no more secrets. Everything is at hand or available. I'm talking X's and O's to clinics, to camps, to going in and being able to visit with colleges. It's always available. Professional development or the ability to go learn something to help your program is always available now. Whereas years ago, before technology and everything was out there on the web or out there on YouTube, there were some secrets. The biggest key to me, number one, is it's not what you do, it's how you do things. I believe that first and foremost, And then number 2 is consistency. Consistency among your coaches. What you demand, the expectations and standards that you have in place on a day-to-day basis. You can't look at something and say, you know what, this is going to take less precedent, or this is not as important. You attack everything with the equal importance, and make sure your kids know that it's important, or we wouldn't be doing it. So consistency and then hard work.
You've got 7-on-7 events. You've got high schools that are training in the off season. Do you believe that there's a sense of overtraining with some of that? Do you think that there needs to be more of a balance, or is that something that you like to monitor from a head coach, or do you allow parents to do that monitoring? What's your belief system on that?
That's a good question, and I just know as a high school, as a head coach, we got to know that there's so much more for kids to do these days than it was. There's a Anytime Fitness or a gym located on every corner.
Mm-hmm.
Kids are going to go train. Parents feel like if their kid's not participating or getting extra work, that they're missing the boat and they're getting behind. And in some cases, they're right. We just got to be cognizant of that as coaches, and know where we can, or if we need to cut back, what areas we need to cut back on. There's 7-on-7 now that takes place in the off season.
That's right.
And you're trying to run your off season program. So thankfully, the 7-on-7 coaches around our area do a really good job of scheduling those events around spring football. and around summer workouts and things like that, and shut that season down when it's time for school ball to pick back up. But the big thing I would like to tell parents and kids is, look, you're doing all those things to prepare you for high school sports. You know, you don't get a scholarship in travel baseball or travel basketball or 707. They're not passing out any scholarships. And look, we're not passing out scholarships at high school either, but those are to help prepare you for your high school team. So keep that perspective first, that you're doing those things to help better you for your high school team.
I don't know that I've ever heard it put that way, but I think that is just a great tip to give parents.
You know, that's one thing. If I could go back and change something, you said, would I change something? You know, that's maybe my relationship with my brother. I just remember it was just two of us, and it was always back and forth. And he did this, and I did that type deal, and a lot of arguments.
What was the age difference?
We're a year and a half apart.
Oh, okay. That probably explains a lot.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we're going to end on one more Mad Minute question. It's going to be a good one.
Okay, fire away.
All right, we pull up to the field house. You walk in.
Yeah.
When you walk in and sit down, a penguin walks into the field house wearing a sombrero. Why is he there, and what does he say?
I wish I were a line. I don't know.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good?
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. All right, Coach. We made it back. Thanks so much
We made
for
it.
your time.
You did
We
all
made it.
that and didn't hit nothing.